What's going on, guys? Welcome to the very first episode of the Winners Win podcast presented by iKon Boats. Today we're joined by a high school angler. He's a Bassmaster High School State Champion from Tennessee, and he just won the Bill Dance Giant Bass Open on Pickwick Lake. So we welcome Presley Lannom. Hey, Presley,
What's
how's it
up?
going?
Good, dude. Thanks for having me on. Doing
Yeah,
good.
of
Doing
course.
good.
Yeah. Congrats on the win and just the heck of the start of a season. I know you came, I think, 23rd at Clarks Hill.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's been a good start to the year for sure.
Yeah,
Clarksville was a little bit of a nail biter. I think 23rd. They took 23 spots to the Nationals, so we were tied for 23rd. It was a little stressful, but we slid in there by the skin of our teeth. So definitely happy about
right.
that.
Yeah, something to look forward to toward the end of 2024, the national
Yeah,
championship coming up. So do you know where that is
absolutely.
yet, or have they not
Yeah,
announced?
it's first or second week of August, I believe, on Chickamauga.
Sweet. There you go.
Yep.
From Tennessee, Fish and Chick.
Yeah, yeah. Could
Yeah,
hurt, could help. We'll figure it out.
right. Yeah, so just tell me a little bit about yourself. So where you're from, your home lake, what tournaments you plan to fish the rest of the year, just things like that.
Yeah, I'm obviously I'm Presley Lannom, as you introduced me already, but I'm from Tennessee, around Nashville, like 30 minutes outside of Nashville, in a little town called Gladeville. I'm sure nobody's ever heard of Gladeville, but little bitty town. I live right in between Percy Priest and Old Hickory Lake, the Cumberland River, and then just I guess Percy Priest isn't really a highland reservoir. But they're okay lakes, nothing special. They're good at times. I wish I could live, a little bit better lake, maybe like Chick or Dale Hollow or Pickwick, wherever.
Right.
I haven't really been fishing, like my whole life. Well, been fishing my whole life, but I started tournament bass fishing in sixth grade, so this will be my seventh or eighth year. So sixth grade to my junior year, which is right now. It's been a crazy learning experience. I mean, bass fishing just you learn every time you go out. It's really been awesome to learn and to grow, especially in having mentors and people that'll teach you little things here and there. It's been a super fun process for sure. It's very fishing's a humbling sport. The humble beginnings. You look back and it's like, man, we didn't know a thing about fishing. But it's pretty cool to look back now and see how far we've come. Still got, I mean, fishing, you never stop learning. We've got forever to go. And as far as learning and getting better and growing. But I'm looking forward to it. It's just February when we're recording this now, and we got the whole rest of the year full of tournaments. I think from now until May, I think I've got a tournament every weekend, so it's going to be pretty crazy. Between Bassmaster High School Opens and Tennessee Bass Nation High School tournaments. MLF, we're fishing the Nationals or the Worlds on Hartwell in June. So looking forward to that one. Like you said, the Bassmaster Nationals in August. So definitely got a packed year, just like every other year as far as fishing goes. But definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. So kind of in the fishing industry, there's been a whole takeover of the next generation of anglers. And I know you said you have tournaments every weekend from now until May or June, just all year long. How do you end up managing school and fishing nationally so much?
So my eighth grade year. Well, I guess I was in seventh grade. When I was in seventh grade, COVID came in like the middle of the school year, and so we finished that out. Everything went online where I live, and then everything was kind of crazy with like school and everything. So my eighth grade year, I went completely online, like homeschool, and I kind of liked it. I like the freedom of not having to go to school and you can do it on your own time, which I thought was pretty cool, especially fishing so much. And then I went back my freshman year to actual school, and I was like, man, this isn't gonna work. Like, I gotta fish more and practice.
Yeah.
It's like I went to a private school too, so they didn't have to let me out to fish. Like public schools, they have to allow you to fish Friday, like excuse the absence.
Right.
Well, at the private school I went to, they wouldn't let me do that. It was kind of a pain to get off, and so I was like, you know what, we'll just go back online. So I did that last year when I was a sophomore, and I just loved it. I got my driver's license year and a half ago, so I could pull the boat anywhere, travel to tournaments and practice beforehand. So that was a huge reason of going homeschool. Just being able to, working ahead is a big part of it. Like I usually take Monday and Tuesday to just do schoolwork and work ahead so I can get all my schoolwork done and not have to worry about it while we're out traveling. Which when we get to college, it's a different story, I'm sure, as you know. a little bit different workload.
Right.
But homeschool is definitely what kind of helps me to do that, and just kind of staying on top of it. You know, if you have to do something while you're gone out fishing, which is kind of rare, you just kind of need to get it done and take the time to do it. You know, a lot of late nights, early mornings when it comes to fishing, so you kind of get used to it. But homeschool is probably the biggest part of what has helped me learn so much, just because of the time that I get to go out on the water and spend. It's if anybody's on here thinking about going homeschool, I definitely recommend it. It's not for everybody, of course, but I just fell in love with it.
Right. No, I could definitely see that. Give you a little bit more time to get out fishing during the week, and you know,
Yeah, absolutely.
time on the water is everything anymore. And that's awesome. So, like I mentioned before, you won that Giant Bass Open on Pickwick. So that's a
Yep.
tournament. There's a format of. Just talk to me a little bit about the format of that tournament and how that's ran, because I know it's a 2-day event.
Yeah, yeah. So it's the John Bass Opens are 2-day tournaments. I think every lake is in Tennessee. Yeah, it's the Bill Dance Signature Lake, so they're all in Tennessee. The format is super cool. I know there's like some different trails, but the part that makes the Bill Dance so special is it has a youth division and an adult division. So like high schoolers have their own separate division, which you can still fish with an adult in the boat, except you're just you're not fishing against each other.
Right.
So you weigh in it's a Saturday and Sunday, and you weigh in. I guess it's just an hourly tournament or whatever you call it. So, but there's like weigh-in periods for every hour.
Okay.
So there's a lot of strategy that plays into it. So like, I think the first period is like 7 to 8 o'clock, and then 8 to 9, and so on and so forth. Uh, so you kind of got to time yourself, and you don't want to be running too far because you want to be able to make it back as many times as you can and weigh in, solid fish to get paid out. But there was one period where I'd just weighed in. Well, no, my girlfriend who I'd fished with, she had just weighed in. But the way we did it, we were splitting the money like even. We weren't just keeping what we caught like to ourselves. We were just gonna split it even because basically fishing as a team. Not everybody does it that way, but that's how we did it. And so she had just weighed in, and we went back, and I just called. It was like a 380 or 390 smallmouth, but I didn't want to bump her out of first place. I was just gonna wait till the next period because she was leading the last period. So we probably had 10 minutes to get back to the ramp, but half of it's an idle zone. So we had to get back there quick, and I was running up to the weigh-in trying to make the time for that period because I don't think anybody had even weighed in yet. So I was trying to get up there and cash a check, and I was like 20 feet away from the weigh-in, and they called time on me, and I was like, oh my gosh. And so that was a little frustrating, but ended up winning the next hour anyways. So that was ended up being okay. But it's super cool. That format. It's kind of stressful, which is fun. Stressful might not be the right word, but I don't mean to sound cheesy, but it's kind of action packed. Like you got to catch them as much as you can to weigh in. It's a super cool format. Uh, I know they go. I think there's one in not the Bill Dance, but like there's tournaments in Sam Rayburn and Chick and Gunner. I think Gunnersville's a big one. The Big Bass Splash or whatever. It's an hourly tournament. So there's actually quite a few tournaments that are ran the same as the Bill Dance, but super cool format for sure.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Definitely sounds like a lot of fun, a lot of fast moving parts. So you said
Yeah, absolutely.
there's a lot of strategy that goes into that. How did your practice change going like knowing you had hourly weigh-ins instead of just like a 5 fish tournament?
Yeah, so like having to what not having to, but having the opportunity to weigh in every hour changes kind of the whole aspect of it because in a regular tournament, there's one weigh in or you have your weigh in period, there's different flights or whatever, but it's basically the same time, and you don't want to run too far, or at least that wasn't our strategy. We just wanted to stay close and catch as many 3 or 4 pounders as we could to just maybe not necessarily win every single round, which is I don't think anybody's ever done that. But maybe not do just catch a bunch of giants, but just weigh in solid fish every hour to just cash as many checks as we could, which ended up working out. But the big part of that was we didn't never go more than 5 or 6 miles from the weigh in. So we never had a long run getting back, and just making, watching your time and making sure you're hitting the times right. As far as like, you don't want to be making several trips back and forth if you don't have to. So like what we did, if say weigh-in is from 8 to 9, we would go in at like 8:50, weigh our fish in, and just stay at the ramp, and then weigh in at 9, like at the start of the 9 to 10 o'clock period. So then we would already have that one hit, and we wouldn't have to go back for the 9 separate. Um, so we kind of hit this was kind of like a 2-for-1 deal. But that's if you have 2 fish to weigh in. You can keep three in the live well. Yeah, you can keep 3 in the live well at a time per person. So it kind of definitely changes the way you practice. I know a lot of people, they kind of made far runs, and you can trailer back to the weigh-in too. You don't have to drive the boat. Like I know some other people did that, and they did good. Putting in somewhere else and then driving back. So you kind of have to play your cards. It kind of just depends on how you like to fish, and where on the lake you're fishing. And just kind of what your end goal is, I would say.
Right. So you're allowed to keep 3 fish in the boat at a time, and then you can pick which way and periods you go to.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So like if I've got 3 in the live well, I can hit the 7 to 8 o'clock period, and then the 8 to 9, and then the 9 to 10. But and for example, say it's 7 to 8 o'clock, or any period. That's just an example. Like say it's 7:50, and a 3.5's leading the hour. Well, if you've got a 4 pounder and a 5 pounder, just throw the 4 pounder at weigh in, and weigh the 4 pounder in, and then save the 5 for later, because you don't need the 5 pounder. So
Right.
save it in case you need it later on in the day. Um, so like you don't want to weigh a bigger fish than you have to, because you might end up needing it later. So that was another strategy that we kind of used, but it's a really cool format. Like it's definitely like top 5 most fun tournaments I've ever fished.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it. That's a lot different than a 5 fish tournament. I'd never really thought about all the
Yeah,
different strategies you'd use, I guess.
yeah, yeah. It's
Um,
it's I didn't really realize it until we got there. That was the first hourly tournament that I fished, and we might not have even strategized the best that we could have.
right.
But there's a lot of thought definitely goes into how you, and it kind of depends on like how you're fishing. Like with like me and my girlfriend, we were just gonna split the money, so I wasn't gonna like knock her out of first place if I didn't have to. I'll just weigh in the next hour, um, and then we would get more money in the end. But I guess it just kind of depends on how you're fishing.
Right. Yeah, no, that's really cool. I mean, it looks like it worked out pretty well. I was looking at the standings. So am I right to say day one, you guys won 5 periods?
Yeah, I don't know if it might have been 5. I think in total, I think we cashed 9 checks between the two of us in the 2 days.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Um, and all of them except for 2, I think we won. So in 2 days, I think we won 7 rounds. I want to say, or 6 or 7. It was something like that. It was it was a pretty good tournament. We got blessed with a lot of opportunities. And I don't know if we lost fish all week. So I was like, that just doesn't happen often.
Right.
Uh, Laney lost one big one right there at the end of the second day. But other than that, I don't think we lost an entire fish. So, yeah, you don't get that opportunity much. I'm glad we capitalized every bite.
Right. Yeah, I think that's right. I had that you won 5 periods on day one and 2 periods on day two, and then overall big fish at 653. I was looking, would that have won for both divisions too?
Yeah, yeah. I think one of my other buddies, Carter Nutt, he was fishing the adult side. They fished for University of North Alabama.
Right.
They did really good on the adult side. I think day one their best 5 went like 27 pounds, which is
That's
just, I mean,
crazy.
giant bag. Those guys are hammers. They catch them everywhere they go. But I think he had a 640 something, and mine was a 650 something. So it was a little bit bigger, uh, which is pretty cool. I didn't rub it in his face too much though.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's awesome. So, if you don't mind, talk about how you caught him a little bit. I mean, like you said, there's so many different strategies to go to it too, and I know you didn't. You stayed pretty close to the ramp, so you could weigh in as many of those time periods as you could. But just kind of how you figured them out and what you did to end up catching that many big fish.
Yeah, so practice was really good. A little bit better than the tournament even. We had one day we had a little over 20, and I had a 7 something in practice. We caught some giants. I think it was a 707. It was a super good practice. So I was kind of hoping tournament day. It's it rarely, or at least for me, if I catch good in practice, tournament day never goes the same. Uh, but in practice, we were catching them on any deep dock, like 15, 20 foot, and the docks on Pickwick, for the most part, are they're not floating docks. The poles are driven into the ground. And
Right.
if I'm fishing, I'm not a big dock fisherman, but if I am fishing docks, I would want to fish, I don't really know what you would call it, but one that's drove into the ground, not a floating dock. But any of them you could find with brush, scanning around with your live scope and seeing the brush piles up under the docks. Uh, Seeing those brush piles up under there seemed to hold the fish better than the ones that didn't have brush on them. And there wasn't very many. Pickwick doesn't have a ton of docks on it. In the pockets and creeks and stuff, it does. But out on the main lake is where we were finding the better fish up under those docks. So that was kind of one of our patterns. We didn't use it a ton in tournament day, just because of the conditions. It wasn't really working out great for it. It was cloudy and pretty windy. So throwing a spinning stick under some docks with brush in 20-foot water isn't ideal for
Right.
windy conditions. But tournament first day it poured down rain all day. It was pretty miserable. I don't think it ever stopped raining on Saturday. And then Sunday didn't rain, but it was windy and it was really cold. But our primary pattern was Alabama rig with some 3-inch swim baits. The water was pretty dingy. So on the middle one, I threw chartreuse. Well, it's what is that color called? I can't tell you the name of the color. But it was a driftwood 3-inch swimmer on all of them. And then the outside were Tennessee shad color. Just 1/8 ounce heads. We were fishing, 10, 15 foot. Didn't want it to sink super deep. But I think every fish we weighed in came on an A rig, except for maybe one or two. We were just fishing, underwater points that, rocky points and stuff like that. Throwing it over stump fields, along river drops and stuff. The fish weren't, the water temp was, low 50s, maybe high 40s. I can't remember exactly. I want to say it was 51, 52. But just throwing that A-rig around that brush and, stumps and stuff leading into the creeks, more main lake for sure. That's how we caught most of them. Just Alabama rig and a little bit of dog fishing mixed in between.
Yeah, that's really cool. Did you notice any difference with like channel swing banks or anything like that?
We Pickwick's kind of unique in, it's a true Tennessee River fishery. There's not a ton of like bluffy type stuff or deep bluffs at least. So most of the stuff we were fishing was main lake and channel swing stuff. Like the mouth of a pocket and then the channel swings up by it and there's a point sitting off of it. Stuff like that, or just like main lake bars that had, leading into the pockets that had brush on them. Those seemed to hold fish, just waiting there seemed like they might have been kind of getting ready to pull up, to ease into those pockets and stuff to spawn. But yeah, the deeper water closer to deep water definitely seemed to be the deal.
Right. So definitely some of that more main lake, like real early pre-spawner stuff seemed
Yeah,
to be the
yeah,
deal.
yeah. Big pre-spawn. Big pre-spawn.
Yeah. And that's awesome. So did you catch all your fish on live scope, or was that just helping you find the brush and stuff?
Yeah, we weren't just picking them off like a jig head minnow type deal.
Right.
We weren't just picking them off one by one. It was more just to be able to see the brush and to see those stumps and to kind of, man, I don't use live scope a ton to just pick off fish. I like just seeing what I'm looking at under the water more. Like, with a contoured stuff, it's, if there's a drop or a point that comes out, I kind of like to just see what I'm looking at. It's kind of like having eyes under the water. So we weren't, just looking at them and picking them off by any means, but more to kind of locate what we were catching off of, that brush and those drops and stuff. So it was definitely a factor. It's just another tool for the arsenal to help. But I wouldn't say that it was. We definitely could have done it without live scope.
Right. That's really cool. I've always wanted. I haven't gotten down to fish down south when I live up in Ohio. Obviously, I mean half our lakes
Yeah,
are still frozen over. So
yeah,
I see you guys down there catching sevens. It makes me jealous.
yeah, yeah. I guess that's definitely a plus to living down here. no frozen lakes.
Right. Are they starting to get close to spawning down there? Or you still got a little bit?
No, we've definitely still got a little bit. Water temp kind of depend on where you go. High 40s and low 50s. It
Yeah.
hasn't. The weather's still pretty chilly. We here in the last week we've had some 70-degree days here in Tennessee at least. Um, I feel like they're probably wanting to. It's kind of getting that time of year. The water temperature needs to get right. If we keep up this steady warm weather, it'll. I think it'll definitely be. Getting close to time they'll start pulling up into creeks and stuff. But Main Lake seems to be better right now for sure.
Yeah. That's kind of what I figured. Um, so kind of over, we mentioned too, kind of about Clarks Hill in, was it the first week of February?
Yeah, I think it was the fourth. The high school was at least.
Okay. Yeah. And you said you came 23rd out of, was that a full field you guys had?
Yeah, it was right at it. I mean, capacity's what 250. I think
Yeah.
we had 240 something or 230 something. Uh,
Okay.
I think 238 maybe something right in there. It was right at capacity.
Right. Yeah. I don't have it in front of me, right in front of me, what you guys weighed in, but what'd you end up having weight wise?
I think it was a little over 10 pounds, maybe 10.1 or 10.2. A little over 10 pounds. It wasn't a giant bag, but enough to get us in
I
there in the
saw it
cut.
was, oh yeah. Whatever you need to get into that natty cut, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's the goal for the opens.
Right. Yeah. I saw it was really windy that day
Yeah,
too. It looked like real rough water.
yeah, it was. Especially compared to practice. Practice, it's beautiful days. It's sunny. 5-10 mile an hour wind. And then, of course, like any other tournament day, a big front came in. It got pretty cold. Uh, 35 mile an hour winds all day. Super cloudy. I don't think it warmed up. I think it actually got a little bit colder throughout the day. So tournament conditions were definitely tough. And that wind made it really hard to stay out on the stuff that we were fishing.
Yeah. That's brutal. So did you fish? I mean, did you practice all week for that tournament too?
Yeah, so practice, let's see, we practiced 3 days. So our tournament was on Sunday. Well, it was really more like 2 days because Saturday we didn't really get to practice because of our registration, which was at like 11 o'clock or something. So we didn't even go out before our registration on Saturday. So it was like 2.5 days probably. We went a little bit after on Saturday, but we had a couple
Gotcha.
days.
Right. So how'd you end up catching them there? What'd you find
We
there that qualified?
we tried to fish shallow in practice, and it just wasn't working out for us. I know there's some people that called them shallow, in that dirty water. But most of the stuff we were fishing was main lake. I know a lot of people were fishing, or what I heard a lot of people did were catching them out of bait balls or just roaming schools of fish. Excuse me. But the stuff that we were fishing, uh, was just there's I don't know, I don't even really know what they were. We found an area that had little bitty rock piles, like maybe 10 or 15 foot wide rock piles, and they didn't even look like big rock. It was like gravel stuff, and kind of some just sneaky little stuff I don't think anybody else was looking for. And we caught all spot in the practice. We were catching a lot of largemouth. We weren't catching many spots, uh, but tournament day we had all spotted bass. We just couldn't get the largemouth to bite. But all of our largemouth were coming out of brush piles. Tournament day we just couldn't make it happen. I don't know if the fish just left or they just weren't biting, but we couldn't seem to make it happen with the largemouth bite. But so thankful for the spotted bass. They usually like to bite.
Yeah. I mean, that's not an easy thing to do to qualify for one of those. That's an impressive feat right there.
Thank you. Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about how, because I know there's been a little bit of like varying talk about how people do it. Do you end up using a lot of side imaging and stuff to find your brush piles and then scope the stuff, or do you kind of pull up and find an area with contours and then just go ahead and drop the trolling motor from there?
The way I do it, I know everybody, like you said, kind of has their own way of doing it. I use my side scan a lot. I'll pull up, I run a Lowrance and a Humminbird on the back to compare the maps on both, and I'll just turn on side scan. I don't hardly use down imaging or sonar when I'm looking for brush piles. But if I'm looking for brush and stuff like that, rock piles or hard spots or whatever it might be, I'll just turn on my side image and, put it to 120 foot out and follow those contours and just scan and mark a bunch of stuff, and then I'll run back and fish it all. I feel like it's probably a little more time efficient. It might not be any more time efficient. That's just kind of the way I've done it, and seems to be working out okay. So
Right. Yeah. Everyone has their own way of doing it, and whatever
yeah,
makes you the most efficient, right?
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
what kind of baits you end up throwing in all that wind and stuff at Clarksville with that cold front coming in? And
We definitely had to slow it down a good bit and cover a lot of water. Just put your bait in front of as many fish as we could. But everything we caught was on a little swim bait, just like a 3.5 inch swim bait on a jig head. We tried we tried a jig and a drop shot or whatever, but they just seemed to like that swim bait for sure.
right, that's a fun bite too. You can't
Yeah.
beat a little swim bait, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, you've had a great start to the 2024 season.
Thanks, man. Yeah,
Um,
we've been blessed for sure.
yeah, no, that's awesome. What are your plans after high school fishing? I know you said you're a junior, so you have another year of that.
Yeah.
And then what are your plans after that?
Yeah, so a junior right now, definitely looking forward to the rest of high school. Not rushing to go anywhere, but I signed with Carson Newman College about a month and a half ago. So college is definitely the plan after high school. 4 or 5 years of college fishing and traveling and hanging out with buddies and getting to further my education for sure. It'd be kind of weird to be back in the classroom after high school being online for all my high school career. So, but looking forward to it for sure. College is something I've always wanted to do. Carson Newman is just to me my dream school. It was kind of a no brainer as far as deciding where to go to college. I don't. As far as a job, I'd love to be a professional fisherman. That's kind of what I'm working towards the end goal. But if I don't end up fishing professionally, I'd like to do something inside the fishing industry. Whether that's something with social media marketing or brand marketing or whatever that might be. I haven't really figured it out yet. If I don't make it, catching the fish. So definitely want to stay around fishing. My dad's owns a construction company, and I like being around that. But fishing's definitely I think where I'm meant to be.
Right. I know you mentioned before too. You have some buddies going to Carson Newman with you, so that'll be a lot of fun to
Yeah.
kind
Oh
of go
yeah.
get to hang out with them and fish.
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
a heck of a fishing powerhouse every year in college fishing, so that's a awesome step in the right direction towards your end goal there.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach Sales and all the guys that are on the team right now, which a lot of them will be graduated by the time I get there. They're all great guys, and Coach Sales runs a tight ship. He makes sure everything's running smoothly and everybody's acting the way they should. So I'm definitely looking forward to college. They run a great program, and like you said, a lot of my buddies are going there. So it's kind of like fishing with some of my best friends in high school, and then just going on to college. So I'm really excited to college. I'm sure like it's a different ball game. Those y'all are good, so gonna have to step up the game a good bit to stay competitive. But I'm really looking forward to it, getting to college and fishing around and just traveling the country with my best friends.
Oh yeah, you'll definitely keep getting to learn and everything. I mean, people underestimate how good those college kids are. It's going to those tournaments is like crazy seeing how everyone. I mean, they catch them every single time. It's
Oh
great.
yeah, yeah.
It's a lot of fun though. You learn so much as you know, and you'll love it. I like too Carson Newman, like you said, Coach Sales. He actually fishes. He fish NPFL, right?
Yeah. This year, he fished the Bassmaster Opens last year, but now he's fishing the NPFL, and he just wrapped up his first tournament on Logan Martin, and he did good. I think it was top 20 or top 15. So
Right.
he's got his experience in the fishing world.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's something cool that sets Carson Newman apart a little bit is just that their coach and who manages them actually is currently active in the tournament scene too. You know.
Yeah, that was a big part of deciding where I wanted to go, and that's a lot of the reason I chose Carson Newman was because they actually have a coach. Some schools don't have a coach, or they have an advisor or whatever it's called that doesn't really know about fishing or how everything works. But Hunter Sales, Coach Sales, he's been in fishing a long time, and he really knows what it takes to run a good program. And I like the aspect of having a coach. You know, they take care of the financial stuff, and it's just I feel like it makes everything more organized. At least you don't have to worry about dealing out the money or where you're staying or anything like that. He takes care of all that. So that was definitely a big part of deciding where I wanted to go to school.
Yeah, that'll be super nice. Like you said, it'll be a nice, smoothly ran ship, and you won't have to worry
Yeah,
about much other than catching the fish, which is a big deal when it comes tournament week, you know?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Well, that'll be super fun, something to look forward to. Like you said, you still have another year or so of high school fishing, which will be
Yep, yep,
continuing learning and everything. It'll be good.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next year and a half or so.
Yeah, of course. Um, Before we wrap up here, do you have any sponsors or social media that you'd like to give a little shout out to?
Yeah, yeah, all my sponsors, man, and team sponsors, they're all great. Definitely, I mean, they literally make it possible for our team to do what we do. I fish for Mountain Jewett Fishing here in Middle Tennessee. All of our team sponsors and personal sponsors like Two Rivers Ford and Grade A Construction. Man, all those guys are great. Apex Tackle, Torn Outdoors, Cigar. If everything I catch is on Cigar, so y'all better go check it out. It's good stuff. Man, just I got to give all the glory to God though. Our sponsors are great and they make it happen, but man, God has just blessed me with so many opportunities and put me around some great people. So I got to give it all to Him, absolutely for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I really appreciate you hopping on here, and I
Yeah,
wish you the
man.
best
Thanks.
the rest of the 2024 season, and
Yeah, man. Thanks for
sure we'll
having me.
keep in touch. Yeah, of course.
Absolutely, dude.